What's up guys, NBA videos 100 and today we're going to be counting down the 10 worst NBA trades. These aren't going to go in any order, there's just 10 of the worst NBA trades in history. So first off we have the LA Clippers trading Baron Davis, who was actually a pretty decent player for them, averaging about 14 points, 6 assists, and 2 rebounds per game, but the Clippers were pretty bad in 2010 to 2011. They weren't the worst in the league, but the Cavaliers, who were tanking after LeBron James left, they were, and they traded Baron Davis and an unprotected first-round pick to the Cavaliers for Jamario Moon and Mo Williams. And that first-round draft pick ended up being Kyrie Irving, and we all know what happened from there on. Kyrie Irving and LeBron James winning an NBA championship last year after about LeBron James's return to Cleveland in 2 years. So second on the list, we have the San Antonio Spurs, which is surprising because the Spurs are such a great organization and they have such a great front desk, trading Dennis Rodman, the rebounding master, to the Chicago Bulls for Will Perdue. And Dennis Rodman is a rebounding master, but he didn't really fit well with the Spurs since they were such a classful organization, and Rodman would often show up like 30 minutes late for playoff games, and he overall destroyed the team's chemistry, so he didn't fit in. So the Spurs decided to get rid of him and straight up just trade him for Will Perdue. And Rodman was 34, so it did make sense, but Rodman went on to win 3 championships with Michael Jordan, and he played a key role in it, while Will Perdue, well, he was a backup center. That says enough. So next on the list, we have the Milwaukee Bucks trading Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Walt Wesley to the Los Angeles Lakers for Junior Bridgman, Dave Mayer, Elmore Smith, and Brian Winters. So Abdul did win a title with the Bucks, but he wasn't very happy in the city, and the fans never really learned to love him. So he asked for a trade, and he ended up in Los Angeles, where he won 5 titles with Magic Johnson, James Worthy, and James Wilkes. And Milwaukee's just got a few decent players, but that was nothing compared to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, arguably one of the best NBA players of all time. Next, we have the Philadelphia 76ers trading Charles Barkley to the Phoenix Suns for Jeff Hornacek, who's a pretty decent, above-average player. He's a great shooter who averaged 14.5 points per game, 4.9 assists per game, and 3.4 rebounds per game. Tim Perry and Andrew Jang. This has to be the best trade the Suns ever made, and one of the worst the Sixers ever made. So after the Sixers got Jeff Hornacek, they shortly traded him away and sent him to Utah, where he had a really good career and for 6 more seasons. And Tim Perry was terrible. He never lived up to expectations, and same for Andrew Jang. And Charles Barkley was more successful with the Suns than he was with the Sixers, and he ended up winning an MVP. He never got a ring, but he was a better player on the Suns. Next, we have the Bulls making one of their best trades on draft day when they traded their number 8 overall pick, Olden Polynice, to the Supersonics for Scottie Pippen, who ended up being a Hall of Fame forward. And you know all about him. 6 rings with Michael Jordan, one of the best duos ever. And he was about to be traded to the Supersonics in Jordan's first retirement, but it never happened. So they went on to win 6 NBA championships with Michael Jordan, the last 3 with Dennis Rodman, Michael Jordan, and Scottie Pippen, who we mentioned earlier in this video. So in October 2005, the Bulls parted ways with Eddie Curry and Antonio Davis, and they sent them both to the Knicks for a 2006 first-round draft pick and an option to exchange 2007 first-round draft picks, 2007 and 2009 second-round draft picks, Tim Thomas, Michael Sweetney, and Jermaine Jackson. And that first-round pick ended up being the number 2 pick in the 2006 NBA draft, and they selected LaMarcus Aldridge, only to have him sent to the Portland Trail Blazers for the rights to Tyrese Thomas and Victor Kayarapa. This is obviously a terrible trade for the Bulls, as LaMarcus Aldridge went on to become a 5-time All-Star, a great mid-range shooter, and a pretty good rebounder, and an overall great player. And he's now signed to the Spurs, but at the time it's a terrible trade for the Bulls, as the Trailblazers got a lot of great things out of him for 8 years. Next, we have the Minnesota Timberwolves trading their best player of all time, Kevin Garnett, who's an incredible all-around player who's great at everything. He's a great defender. He's a great scorer. He's an amazing rebounder, and he's just great at everything. He just retired in 2016, so they traded him to the Celtics for Al Jefferson, Ryan Gomez, Sebastian Telfair, Gerald Green, Theo Raptilian, and 2 first-round draft picks. And I guess the Timberwolves just really needed a change, so they decided to make this change. And some of these players were really good, like Al Jefferson and Gerald Green, but overall it just didn't work out for the Timberwolves as it did for the Celtics, and the Celtics triumphed after this trade after they got Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and Rajon Rondo, the big three on their team, and they won championships and just doesn't work out. Next, we have the infamous James Harden trade. So in 2012, after the Thunder just made a finals appearance and lost to the Miami Heat, the Thunder sent James Harden to the Rockets for Kevin Martin, Jeremy Lamb, and 2 first-round draft picks, and one of those ended up being Steven Adams. And this is because the Thunder couldn't work out a deal with James Harden, and so they decided to keep Westbrook and Ibaka. And James Harden turned down a $55 million 4-year contract, and the Thunder just couldn't pay James Harden that much more because they had Westbrook, Kevin Durant, and all those contracts on their team, so they couldn't afford it. So they decided to trade him away, and they trusted that Ibaka would develop into a good player, and he wasn't a bad player, but he didn't really develop into what they wanted him to be, and obviously they traded him away. Now he's on the Raptors. This actually isn't that bad of a trade for the Thunder if you look at the situation they were in. They couldn't give Harden that much money, and they trusted Westbrook and Ibaka would develop into something because they needed them more. So Ibaka didn't really develop into anything, and he traded him, like I said. And they did get Steven Adams, who's a pretty good pick, and they couldn't have really done anything else. So they decided to do that, and it didn't work out that bad. But obviously, it would have worked out like 10 times better if they had James Harden on their team. And James Harden obviously was upset by leaving OKC, but that was just not enough money. And now he's a great player, MVP caliber player on the Rockets. Last two, so we have the Nets trading Keith Bogans, Marshawn Brooks, Chris Humphries, Chris Jason, Gerald Wallace, 2014 first-round picks, which ended up being James Young, a 2016 first-round draft pick, which ended up being Jaylen Brown, a pick swap for the 2017 season, and 2018 first-round draft pick to the Celtics for Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, Jason Terry, and DJ White, which were all aging players. So it did make sense kind of for the Celtics to trade them, but the Nets just wanted an immediate title, and it just didn't work out for them at all. And now the Celtics are loaded on picks and people, and they got Jaylen Brown, and they have this year's #1 draft pick, and we'll see what they draft from there. But a bad trade for the Nets, a terrible trade for the Nets, and now they're stuck at the bottom, while the Celtics are looking to climb to the top #1 seed in the. And the last one, we have the Milwaukee Bucks trading Dirk Nowitzki in the 1998 draft and Pat Garrity to the Mavericks for Robert Traylor, and obviously a terrible trade. I don't even have to go into why. So thank you so much for watching through this whole video, and please like this video if you enjoyed, because it takes a lot of work, and I hope you enjoyed it. Peace out. I want to like, comment, and subscribe for more great videos like this one and all NBA videos, including news, top 10s, and just overall great videos. So definitely want to subscribe.